Hey everyone, I want to thank you for tuning in to one of EPARTRADE's Race Industry Now Tech webinars. If you're a part of the racing industry or you're just passionate about racing tech, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new episode.
Good morning and welcome to Race Industry Now, the weekly webinar series from EPARTRADE, presented to you by ARP, Performance Plus Global Logistics, Feria Racing Components, PIC, Fifth Third Bank Motorsport, Quower, and CTEC Manufacturing. I am Francisque Savignan, the founder and CEO of EPARTRADE, the racing industry, every minute, every day. This is episode 551, and we're going to be talking Pistons with JE Pistons. With me this morning are Judy Kin, the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and a wonderful host, Mr. Chick Lynch. Judy?
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We are so excited to have on today such a proven, dependable, iconic brand like JE Pistons. I've had the pleasure of working with them for 27 years, maybe 28 years now, from my PRI days to now. And we're also delighted to have a brand new, wonderful host with us today, Chuck Lynch with AERA. Chuck?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with everyone.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. And I think we are going to be bringing our speakers any second. And Chuck has been with us several times in the past as a wonderful guest and is extremely knowledgeable when it comes down to engines. So we are delighted to welcome Chuck as our special host today. I'm getting a signal from our producer that Jim and Sebastian should be on any second, as well as Bryce. So we're going to wait for them to join us. And
of course, did anybody have any questions today? Please put them in the chat button and Chuck will acknowledge them.
So I see Bryce and I see Jim and I think Sebastian as well is here. So as soon as they start their video, good morning, Bryce. Good morning, gentlemen. Chuck, we'll let you carry on.
Good morning.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
As Judy mentioned, please do drop your questions in the chat box as we're going. We'd like to answer those as we go rather than wait to the end. So, all right. So, gentlemen, I know that you have a presentation put together for us, and I think let's get moving on with that.
All right.
Everybody see it now?
Yeah, we can see.
All right. Happy everyone's with us today. Good morning. And we're going to go through some of JE's history and what makes us a great brand. Again, introductions to Bryce, JE's product manager. He's also the general manager of BoostLine Connecting Rods. Sebastian Franzen, our senior technical sales associate, and Jim Irwin, general manager of JE Pistons. Some of the topics we'll be discussing today will be applications, what JE is known for, what gives JE Pistons the winning edge, custom capabilities with our pistons, supporting the engine builder community, and what's new in 2025. We'll wrap up with some questions and look forward to delivering some important topics to everybody today. For those that don't know, JE Pistons has over 75 years of manufacturing experience, leader of high-performance forged pistons. Our reputation has been built on the competition following us and our history of manufacturing the highest quality pistons and components that professional engine builders require, race teams adopt, and high-performance enthusiasts trust and rely on. Going to go through some of our applications across the motorsports segments that we service.
Okay, so here we have a basic description of our stock shelf lineup, how we structure it within the company. So you see to the left here we have SRP, which is our value-driven component. It's a mild street, hot street, some mild race applications. We also have, in the second line you see there, is SRP Pro. Those are also kind of cover some of the basic stuff, but a little more race oriented. It's a more modern design, skirted coats, metric rings, and so forth. You can see the features that are listed on the parts. Like for instance, you have accumulated grooves, you have, we have precision ring groove machining and things like this. And then we added a second SRP Pro line with a different alloy to help us produce a part that will be more racing oriented to kind of fill the segment in between the street oriented deal and the full race applications, which we have in our JEs. And that's the 2618 alloy. It gets a lot of crossover part numbers in that segment. It's mostly domestic parts. And once you're done with your application exceeds that parameter, you need to go to a JE shelf part. And there we cover a wide gamut of components for anywhere from small blocks to sport compacts to power sports type applications. Then we've developed an Ultra Series line, which is the next level up with a much stronger forging to help fill the gap of, you know, the big end horsepower stuff that now is being produced with turbos and nitrous and so forth. Beyond this, there's always custom capabilities, which is really what we do here. So I think that should cover the shelf stocking line of components that we have there. Yeah.
All right. Moving on. A little bit of information on what gives JE the winning edge.
One of the things that separates JE from its competition is its rich history, as Jim alluded to, the 75 years of manufacturing. JE's engineering department is a wealth of knowledge. They have the ability to reverse engineer, determine what type of piston forging will work best for your application. Recently, we've been really focusing on our FEA analysis of our parts to create stronger, more durable parts for all different sorts of racing applications, whether it's a nitro burning VW Daza, whether it's a circle track car. We've really focused on trying to create a product through the engineering team that will stand the test of time and hold up to whatever abuse you can put to it. So with our engineering team is constantly growing, and this is the area that we're really pushing forward in the future, is to be able to do full simulations on the engine builds and the applications that customers bring to us that maybe have a failure, and they want to know why and how we can make the pistons stronger. So as you can see, we're able to provide that data for them and really keep them on the track running for more races than they ever thought they could.
Thanks, Bryce.
There we go. So JE has an in-house forging process in Mentor, Ohio. As you can see, we have an old press that's been around for a really long time that they keep up in service and working really well. We have mechanical, hydraulic presses. We also age the parts in-house. So that's what's one of the unique things about JE Pistons, is we can design, develop, and manufacture our own forgings from start to finish. Heat treating, everything is done all in-house. So we can control the quality and ensure that we're getting the best forging that we possibly can to machine our pistons from.
Now, as you can see here, we have 4 different styles of forging that's available to us, as salespeople or as engineering has to choose from to choose for your applications. Starting on the left there with a basic full round. Sorry, my phone's going off. Full round style forging is the classic design, longer pins, very good for structure and for high horsepower usage. Going into the fully braced FSR internal brace and external bracing. This is done in a lot of circle track, naturally aspirated, low friction style forging with a, that has a lot of high strength to it. Then we kind of have like a hybridized version of that with no internal structures. This again covers a range of components, anywhere from the turbocharged to whatnot. It depends on the application it goes into. Not everyone needs a fully external. Not everybody needs piston guiding, things like this. So these are in between forgings that will work for those type of options. Now we have a simple FSR design. It's kind of a large skirt panel design that fits virtually any application. This is a very good universal style forging that can be used in basically across any kind of a racing application. So, and beyond that, of course, we can machine anything from a billet puck to make you a billet piston. This is a little more involved process. We can do unique designs if you want to supply us a print to manufacture too, or we can come up with a design for you to use to fit your particular applications. So this is our capabilities as far as the forgings goes. And as Bryce mentioned, we do have internal forging house, which is one of our really strengths in this market. So I think that should do it for that slide. Yeah.
So quick question,
Sure.
what kind of volume of billet pistons are you making today? Has that picked up?
Bryce, do you have a good number on that? It has definitely
Billet
picked up.
pistons, the billet piston is usually just for rapid machining. So in the grand scheme of things, a billet piston looks pretty. Everybody loves to hold them in their hand and they look awesome. But longevity wise, a billet piston isn't as strong as a forged piston. So when we typically go to a billet piston, it's because we need to make something super fast, or it's a unique application, a really small bore, large bore, specific bore stroke combination, to where we don't have time to develop a forging for that on the custom side of things. So a lot of our customers will, order billet pistons for specific applications. And then as they start to use them and they like the designs and the way the struts are in the part, the way the part works in the field, then they'll move it into a forging that we can produce for them to actually make a stronger part. So a forged piston starts off between 76 and 78 Rockwell hardness, whereas a billet piston is in the low 70s. So what happens is over time, as the piston heat cycles up and down, you just lose some of the longevity of the part in a billet because it starts off at a softer Rockwell. And that's one of the key things about the billet. But there's some applications where that's all you can do is make a billet part.
I also, Chuck, can I add that, our range of forgings goes from 58 millimeters all the way to 5.5 inches. So there's a wide range of parts that can be produced for the consumers out there. So anywhere from antiques to very small, 450 motocross stuff. It's all available.
It's great to know. There's a lot of custom building going on right now.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yep.
Onward to some CNC manufacturing, and as the guys have touched on, with the wide offerings of forgings, there's going to be complex designs. There's going to be specific needs, and our manufacturing process is set up to adapt. Our CNC manufacturing process was built specifically for precision and speed, producing pistons with the consistency and short lead times. Whether we're doing forged pistons or we're doing billet pistons, manufacturing cells have been set up for the quickest flow, putting product into our customers' hands as quickly as possible.
Hey, gentlemen, before we get too far, since we were just talking about that, and I think you'll get into a further slide, but Brian Neeb had asked the question, what material is used for the forgings and are they heat treated? So I know you did answer some of that. You have your in-house heat treat, but
So we offer two different types of materials currently. We have some other high-end materials that can be used for specific applications, but traditionally our pistons are either a 4032 material or a 2618, and we have two separate heat treating lines in the facility so that we can move the pistons through the heat treating process a little bit faster without having to do a big changeover. So there's a specific heat treating line for the 4032 material and the 2618, and that's all done in-house.
Thank you.
Is that it, Chuck?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. It's quality assurance.
Got this one, Bryce.
So every JE piston, we want to make sure we're making the best quality part possible. So we want to ensure that when a part comes out of our doors, it gets in your hands and it's going to be made right, and you're going to be able to fit the pins, fit the rings, because the last thing we want you to do as a consumer of our product is to have to rework it, and then it's going to cause delays, and the customer's not going to be happy. So we have a really robust quality assurance lab that spot checks shelf parts. We have a custom critical lab where if you order a critical part, it'll go through a huge inspection before it gets sent out the door with a sheet. We check the ring groove flatness, we check pin bores, we check turn diameters, we check Rockwell hardnesses, we check all those little fine measurements that are going to ensure that you have a high quality product. So we have in-house CMM machine, we have a dedicated staff that their whole purpose is to make sure we're making the best quality parts possible, and that way they're going to perform the best in the field.
Good stuff. So what's the weight distribution across the set of pistons and the compression distance tolerance?
Bryce, do you know this?
I can answer that one. The weight tolerance is like on a shelf part is plus or minus 2 grams.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be SRP shelf, JE shelf. Our custom parts are tightened up to plus or minus a gram, so you could have a total spread of 2 grams difference. And then on the compression height, it's plus or minus 0.2 of a thousandth. So you could have a total of 0.4 spread from start to finish. But all of our pistons, as they roll through the shop, we have a tang process that we go through where each part as it moves from machine to machine is inspected, and they double check the thicknesses, they double check the weight, so that when we get to the end of the line off the wash tank and they do a final inspection of the part, it's real easy to weight match the parts and make sure that we can maintain that consistency across the whole set of pistons. So obviously if you make one piston, it's easy to match the weight on that one, but as you start making 8, 10, 24, it's really hard. Not hard, it just takes some thought and some care from the manufacturing team and the quality team to ensure that we're keeping that spread so you don't have a really heavy piston in your batch.
Good.
Thanks, Bryce. Dyno testing.
So one of our processes that we talked about earlier is the FEA process, and this rolls into our actual in-house dyno testing. So our R&D team is constantly testing, verifying new skirt shapes, new dome shapes, different piston to wall clearances for different applications. We're checking for the strength of our pins. This is something that our R&D team does an awesome job at. They have a list of projects that we give them, and they go through and test and verify that everything that we see in design actually works. So one of the key things I think about that is that we are not sending out a part that we haven't tested ourselves. So if we have a part that we put on the shelf, it's been through the testing, it's been verified that it's going to operate well. The cam and barrel shape of the piston skirt is working correctly to reduce piston rock and increase ring seal. So we're not using our customers as a test bed. It's all done in-house so that when the piston goes out the door and runs in your engine, we know it's going to perform to its best capability. And that's one of the unique things that sets JE apart from some of the other piston manufacturers in the industry. So we also have a full metallurgical lab where we can slice and dice and inspect and really come and tell you exactly what's going on with your piston. We can tell you all the different material makeups of the alloy. So one of the main things that we do a lot of that people don't realize is we do a lot of failure analysis. So a customer goes, runs a piston, and it blows up. And they're like, oh my gosh, my piston blew up. What happened? Sometimes it's hard to pick up a pile of piston rubble and figure out what really went on. But it gives us the ability to create a better part and help that customer understand, hey, we can go through and figure out if there was detonation, if there was, something that caused the piston to run in the cylinder head to pinch the ringland. So all these things add up to making a better part. And obviously, every now and then you just have a crystal ball when you can't figure out what's happening or what went on, and you're trying to fix a problem. But if we can take all of our technical expertise and look at all the data that's presented to us from start to finish, 90% of the time we can come up with a definitive answer and tell you why your piston failed and how to prevent it from happening in the future.
Good info. On the metallurgical lab, we actually got a question from Brad Miller. What is the country of origin for the raw aluminum, and what are the tariff implications? So getting a lot of that lately.
Yep. Obviously, we buy our aluminum from Kaiser, which is all in the States, but like any piston aluminum, it travels around the country a million times up through Canada, back down, because they don't have a big enough smelting process to make the aluminum bar needed in the States. It's got to be routed through Canada. But we haven't seen a huge tariff implication on our product. There's a small amount of it, but that's something we're constantly watching, trying to make sure that obviously we have to maintain a profitable business like everybody else, but we don't want to, you know, jump the gun too soon without knowing its total implication on our business footprint before, you know, doing a crazy price increase to our customers. You know, we want to make sure that everything we do in our business is customer first, and that's how we try to treat everything that we do from start to finish. Is, you know, we want to make sure we're providing the best possible product, service, and price to our customers. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, we haven't had any
I think it was a great
pricing
answer.
all this year, so we've been absorbing whatever's come through. So
Talk about some innovative solutions now.
So coating wise, we have internal coatings that we offer to customers. Obviously, some of the shelf parts will get what we call a perfect skirt coating. Those are some of those are as part of a standard feature on the part. There is a screened on style coating. It's a permanent style coating. It's an anti-friction style coating. That's the main function of that coating. We also offer a thermal barrier crown. It is a heat reflecting style coating with ceramic in it. This is designed to protect short CD pistons for big turbo pressures, high combustion temperatures, that type of thing. Also, in addition to this, we do offer anodizing, and the next slide will show some of that. So there's two main things that we do. We do the cool coat with the fully hard anodized piston. This is commonly used in top fuel or nitromethane burning engines to deal with piston strength is one of it. It helps with that because it puts a nice compressive stress layer in the part and nice hard wear surface for rings and things to ride on. The second thing we do is what we call a cool coat top, which is a version of that. We basically turn the coating off the skirts. And this is to help with service life because the anodizing is very tough on cylinders. So if you run a milder application, maybe like a high nitrous or something, cool coat top was a great option because you'll have the nice forgiving part of the aluminum skirt, but you also have the strength and wear that you get from hard anodizing. These are the cool coat top is kind of new for us. We do offer it. We can offer it on custom parts only at this point because ring grooves and things like this has to be adjusted to fit the rings that you use because there's growth as we apply this particular coating. So
one of the things I'd like to add on our coating side is, you know, we get a bunch of questions about piston coatings. This is probably the #1 question we get besides how to file your rings on the sales team is what coating's better than the other. A thermal barrier crown coating is a sprayed applied coating to the top of the part. So it does a great job. It's efficient in specific applications. Whereas like Sebastian talked about the anodizing actually adheres itself and grows off of the aluminum. You know, they dump the piston in a big tank and the anodizing grows off the aluminum. And so what that does is you get full penetration into the aluminum and the growth off of it for the coating. So in really high boost and turbocharged applications, the anodizing is the way to go. As we see now, everybody makes 3,000 horsepower street cars, so we have to make the strongest piston possible. One of the other benefits of the hard anodized part is that it helps the top ring from micro welding. If you have any type of trace detonation or anything under really high boost where your fuel isn't adequate, it'll actually keep the ring from locking in the groove. So that's why we're actually going more and more to the hard anodizing in those really high boosted applications because of the piston longevity. And one other thing I'd like to add is all of our piston coatings are done in-house. So we don't send it out to a third party to do the coating. They're all done right in-house in Mentor where the pistons are manufactured. You can see we have a full wash line, coating line, a dedicated team of people that all they do is coat pistons, and they do a great job at it.
I was actually going to ask that question because, you know, everything's time temperature, right?
Right.
And I've dealt with some anodizing in the past where it was extremely abrasive. So, you know, it was maybe ideal for tooling, but not ideal for piston. So you being piston people, you know what it takes to make the ring groove and what surface
Yep.
finish is required so that it doesn't eat the piston ring.
Right. And
no.
so like one of the things, like that's why we offer, if you go to the next slide, Jim, we offer the cool coat top part. So as we see more and more trends to really high horsepower street applications, it becomes a battle of how do you make an aluminum part work at really high boost and cylinder pressures and high temperatures. So that's where we went to the cool coat top hard anodized part. So the benefits of the cool coat top is you get the anodizing on the top of the piston, which it acts like a heat reflector, and it keeps the heat from penetrating into the aluminum and annealing it really fast or causing it to burn a hole in the top. You get the added benefit of the ring groove strength and reliability, but by turning the skirt diameter of the anodizing off, Jim, can you go to the next slide so we can look at it? There we go. So by turning the skirt off of the anodizing off the skirt, what it does is it allows the heat to escape the part. One of the traditional problems with hard anodizing, if you hard anodize the whole part, you basically create an eggshell around the aluminum, and the aluminum doesn't have the ability to cool down. It heats up inside the anodizing, but as it doesn't cool off. So that's where there was a little bit of hesitation a few years ago for people to run an anodized part on the street because it gets super hard and the aluminum will just, you know, anneal itself inside the anodizing and just give up because there has no place for the heat to escape or allow cooling in. So by turning the skirt diameter off, as the piston runs on the cylinder wall in a film of oil, it allows the heat to escape the part and the cooling properties of the oil to cool the piston off so that it'll last longer and work in that street application.
Thank you, Bryce. One last thing to touch on the prior slide, the spray-on coating that's very robust as well. The tough skirt coating, also lubricating, anti-friction, anti-wear, and it definitely is a separate option than the screen-on printing or the screen-on coating. And you can also see that the measurement window was added at the bottom of the skirt on the screen-on. So just a couple other features wanted to touch on.
Yeah, the screen-on coating, basically, because it is the screen, is limited to the design of the piston. It has a certain skirt panel size, and that's not, on the custom part, that's not as hard to make the screen and so forth. So it's a quicker, easier, and a better way to do a spray-on style coating for custom-made parts in most applications. Yeah, this is why it's.
And our tough skirt coating is also compatible with Nicosil and Alusil cylinder bores, which is we get a lot of questions on that too. Is what coating can you run in those types of cylinder boards? So the tough skirt is the best option for those particular applications.
And we do adjust our piston sizing for the coating. We take that into account. So if you order a part with a tough skirt coating on it, we address that at engineering. So they actually make a change to the final turn size on the piston, so that once you measure the part, you're measuring the actual clearance off the coating itself. Yeah.
Sebastian touched earlier on our Ultra Series parts, which is unique to JE Piston. So what it is, it's a forging that is double punched in the press so we can align the grain flow of the part and make it stronger. So what makes an ultra forging better than a regular forging are the questions that we get asked all the time. An ultra forging, there's two ways to look at it. Ultra forging can be super strong in a really high boost application, or we can take that same ultra forging, because of its strength and the grain structure of the part, make a lighter racing part that allows us to use thinner deck, thinner skirt panels, all these things to create a really light, strong part for specific naturally aspirated applications as well. So it just increases strength. It increases it actually reduces the flex of the part on the top in the strut towers, where we typically see a forging that isn't double punched. without the aligned grain structure will actually fatigue sooner and start cracking as we get high piston speed, high piston weight. And the unique thing about it is the pin bore wear. So when we see guys go out and run them in circle track or road race applications, we see a reduction in pin bore wear on the ultra forging just because of the way the grain structures are aligned. So we are working to develop more ultra forgings. It's a very tedious process because we have to create multiple tooling dies. It takes specific forging size or billet puck material sizes to press into the forging dies to make these particular design of pistons. So we're working at creating a new ultra forgings for big block, and some new circle track applications that really stress the parts. And that way we know that we can have the highest quality forgings available that will stand up to anything somebody can throw at them. So we're working at this and we're getting better at it every day, trying to develop the new parts. That's the hardest thing, is every day somebody else wants to try something new and make more horsepower, and it's hard to keep up.
Thank you, Bryce.
So as I mentioned earlier, we have our R&D team, and this is something that we've worked really hard on the last few years to update, modernize, and create new cam and barrel shapes to our part. And so a lot of people ask us, what is a cam and barrel shape? What does it do? So if we look at the drawing on the lower right-hand side there, we can talk about the barrel shape and we can talk about the cam shape. So the cam shape of the part actually affects how the piston rocks in the cylinder. So as you have a large stroker piston, you know, in the 90s and early 2000s, the stroker engine wasn't as popular as it is now. Everybody puts a 4-inch stroke in an LS engine. They do 4.5, 4 3/4 strokes in big block Chevys. It's just, 90 millimeter strokes in 2 JZs. It's just the longer piston stroke has become more and more popular. So one of the things that we've worked on is how to reduce the piston rock at the bottom of the bore. If you've ever built a stroker engine and you crank the piston all the way down to the bottom of the cylinder, you notice that the skirt hangs out the bottom of the bore, right? So what we've tried to do is move our transition point of the cam and the barrel shape up to the right below the bottom of the ringland. And what does that do is it stabilizes the part as the piston is sticking out the bottom of the bore. And so why is that important? Well, if you have a piston that goes at the bottom of the bore, and let's say it rocks 30 thousandths at the top of the bore and you crank it all the way down to the bottom and it rocks 70 thousandths because the shape of the skirt is sticking out the bottom of the bore, you're going to create an unstable ring pattern as the piston transitions and goes back up the bore. So the more rock you have at the bottom, you're just hurting your piston on the way up to the top because your rings are going to flutter. You're going to cause premature ringland wear because piston rings are designed to move in and out of the grooves, not twist up and down. So if you have a piston at the bottom that rocks a lot, you're putting more leverage on the ringlands, causing them to wear out faster. So over the course of time, you're going to see your ringlands grow, 4/10 to 5/10, and then you're going to lose ring seal. So that's something that all of our new shelf parts have been redesigned to take all those things into consideration and to create the best ring seal so that obviously we can have the lowest blow by and make the most horsepower, because ring seals everything. If you can't seal your rings, everybody talks about cylinder bore finish. They talk about crosshatch angles. They talk about RK, VK, whatever it is. That's all the talk of the engine building community, is how to get that perfect hone. But equally as important is how flat your ring groove is. If your ring groove isn't flat, your ring isn't going to seal to the piston ring groove itself. So that's why we focus a lot on our ultra groove machining process, which is the industry's flattest ring groove with the lowest amount of wave in the part. And then couple that with a piston that is stable from rocking side to side and centered in the bore at high RPM. That's what's going to make all the horsepower and have the least amount of blow by. So we are constantly testing, redefining, and this skirt shape is specific for applications. A skirt shape that works on a drag race engine probably isn't going to work in a circle track engine because of how the engine is used. different heat cycles. I mean, a drag race engine leaves the line at 90 degrees water temperature and finishes at 120 because, you know, they want to have the coldest water temperature with the highest oil temperature for horsepower. Whereas a circle track engine, it's going to see 230 to 250 degrees every lap until the engine blows up. So there's a lot of different design characteristics that make the skirt profile and the shapes work for every specific application. It's not so a lot of people don't realize the intricate details of how that makes your piston operate and function in your engine through the course of your engine's lifespan. So we work really hard at developing those, and we're constantly changing them and refining them.
Good stuff.
Bryce. Sorry, Chuck.
Chuck, do you have anything? Any questions?
No. Let's move ahead, please.
So this is something that's a newly developed part that actually we patented. It took us probably about 18 months to develop and get patented. And what we took some of the feedback from our circle track customers and our drag race customers. If you've ever gas ported a piston, you either have a lateral gas port or a vertical gas port. The vertical gas port provides positive gas pressure behind the ringland, sealing the ring to the cylinder wall. But the major downside of it is that it clogs over time. Everybody who's put a vertical gas port in the top of the piston will notice that 3, 4, 5 of them will carbon up, and then you lose the effective sealing of that gas port. So what we decided to do was come up with a new way to effectively get the same gas pressure behind the ringland, but prevent it from clogging up. And that's where we developed the dual velocity gas port. So what it is, it's a gas port that is just as effective as a vertical gas port, but it does not clog. So as you can see, the gas port is actually cut into the outside diameter of the top land, and it intersects with what would be a traditional lateral gas port. So when the piston travels up the cylinder wall and the combustion event happens and the gases charge the back of the ring, it gives a direct flow path for it to go down the outside diameter of the piston into the lateral gas port and then behind the ringland. So we did a bunch of this testing. If you go to the next screen, we did all of our development testing on this on a CRF 450 in-house on a single cylinder motorcycle. Why did we test it on a single cylinder motorcycle engine? Was because we could do controlled data. It's a lot easier to manage the data off of 1 cylinder than 8 when we're trying to detect blow by, when we're trying to detect horsepower, ring seal, all these different things to really affect what makes a piston work better or not. So during our testing, we took the piston, we started with no gas ports, took it out, added lateral gas ports. And in the third test, we took it out and added the ultra or the dual velocity gas port to that piston. So the same piston, same rings were used for consistency. And we were able to see a little bit of a reduction in blow by, but most of all was an increase in horsepower. So we're on this engine, we're talking 1 or 2 horsepower, but it's a single cylinder 56 horsepower engine. So this is something that's been verified. So basically the way it works out is the dual velocity gas port provides right around 3 to 5% increase in horsepower over a lateral gas port or a piston that has not been gas ported at all, just from the effective ring seal and the positive gas pressure that is displaced on the backside of the ring, increasing the seal to the cylinder wall. So if you can go to the next slide, this is some of the dyno results here. So you can see we saw a slight increase in power from each test, and this stuff was been back to back and tested, and that's the only way we were able to quantify the data and take a napkin drawing that we thought about and produce it on a piston and make something that was reliable. We didn't want to, come up with some snake oil cure that this is the fix-all magic gas port without verifying that it actually does work. We get a lot of questions about that as well. How do you know that this works? Well, we've done the testing, we've backed it up with data, and we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you put this on your part, you're going to see that increase. We have customers that really, really like this in circle track applications. It's very popular on our 2-barrel parts. We've added it to all of our shelf 2-barrel flat top stock car pistons, because in all the testing, an engine, a 400 horsepower engine that makes 5% more horsepower is kind of a big deal, because these guys have refined these engines over the course of the last 10 years. And that last 3% is always hard to find. And if you can get it by just adding a gas port to your piston and not having any ill effects as far as the performance goes, with gas ports clogging and pistons not working correctly with some of the other style gas ports, it really works well. So we're excited about this. We're seeing more and more people go to this style gas port, and the results speak for themselves. It's a really neat product, and it's one of those things that when we talked about how many new things can you put on a piston, piston's been around since the invent of the automobile, and everybody's tried everything they can with different dome top configurations and swirls and dimples and all these crazy things that have been tried that, sometimes are really hard to quantify if they work or not, whereas we were able to develop this gas port over time and know that it works and performs better in the field.
We're gonna have to pick up the pace, so we have some time for questions. So on to the next slide.
Okay, our custom capabilities. So this is kind of really what makes us unique in this market. From when a customer submits a custom piston order form to us, transfer those numbers into a CNC machine program code. Our system allows us to do that very, very quickly. There's really no limitations as what we can do as far as the custom capabilities, ring sizes, ring grooves, dome configurations, valve pocket designs. There are some mechanical limitations depending on the application, of course, but if you can dream it up, we can probably manufacture it for you. And of course, if you need FEA analysis, those are available to us. A lot of times the baseline we have for experience with the components you have based on the parameters you give us, it's usually enough for engineering to have designs working off the existing stuff that we have. Again, specific cam and skirt barrel shapes, things like this has to be developed. It is the function of heat cycle and what the forging structure looks like. So those things takes a little longer time, but if you have a straightforward design for, let's say, a big block drag motor, we can spit those out very, very quickly. And this is what drives us to get us to the market as quickest. This has been a very strong strength for JE for all these years for the custom manufacturing end of it. So do you want to add anything, Bryce, or?
No, that's it. I mean, I think covers that on the custom side of stuff.
Some key points on supporting and servicing the engine builder community and beyond. Wide selection of shelf-specific parts. Custom ordering process, Sebastian just touched on. Very knowledgeable technical sales team, engineering behind them. Direct tech support and consultation when needed. Real-time inventory and digital ordering. Tech education, as you can see on the right side of that screen. There's web seminars, there's tech sheets, we've got YouTube content, and recently into action has been the customer portal. It's very specific in your needs, it covers the needs, and so far it's working really well as far as for customers accessing what they need at the time they need it, whether it's during hours, after hours, weekends, whatever it may be.
Yeah, the B2B port is really designed to help. This is more of a business related item, not a technical thing per se, but it's designed to help the customer as they have an account with us to find old invoices, to place orders for shelf parts, there's even options to place custom orders on there, and it all stays tied to your account. You can get instant answers to things when no one's available on the phone to answer the question for you. So this is something we just rolled out. It's going to grow and grow and grow as the customer will start using this. And I encourage everybody to use it because it's a great tool. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of stuff you can find out without having to try to get a hold of somebody here. So. Last.
No, it's hung up. There we go.
I'm not sure what this one is, but it's the video.
It is not playing. There we go.
This describes the portal interface. So.
Partner Connect is JE Pistons online portal designed to give our partners a more convenient and efficient business-to-business experience. First, we'll cover how to access Partner Connect. Navigate to jepistons.com. Then click the B2B Connect section in the upper right. To request account access to the dealer portal, fill out all the required information in the form, then submit. Please note, these requests are manually processed by our customer service team, so please allow 1 to 2 business days for processing. Once you have access, you can log in normally. On the Partner Connect home screen, you'll find your account overview, messages, and notifications. The left side navigation menu is the main hub for all your resources and tools. Now, we'll go over how to create an order. Click Quick Order on the navigation menu. On the order screen, you can search for products by part number, keyword, or specific specifications. Simply click each desired product in the results to add it to your order. Once all your items are added, click Add to Cart. Then, you can proceed to checkout and complete the order. You can also create orders through bulk upload via a CSV file. In the upload window, you'll find a link to download the sample template, as well as a place to upload your bulk order. Simply choose the appropriate file, and Partner Connect will automatically populate your orders. Anytime you have product added to your order, you can expand the product details to confirm that everything looks correct. With everything confirmed, you can add your products to the cart and proceed with checkout as normal. If you're not sure exactly what parts you want to order yet, simply click Shop Store, and it will take you to our complete online catalog. While browsing the store, all relevant products will display retail, MRP, and your pricing, while you are logged into Partner Connect. Checking your order status with Partner Connect is simple. Click Sales Orders in the navigation menu, which will take you to a screen that displays all your orders. You can click into specific orders for more details, including tracking information for all shipments. You can also print order details, either from the order window or the main order status screen. With Partner Connect, you can manage returns, warranty, and product evaluation requests. Click Return Request in the navigation menu, then choose the appropriate option you need. Fill out all the prompted information and submit it for easy tracking and communication with our customer service team. You can also access invoices through Partner Connect. Click Invoices in the navigation menu, where you'll be prompted to enter your email for a link to access the invoice system. On top of these tools, Partner Connect offers additional resources. These resources include auditing your saved addresses, accessing current do not sell lists, and viewing and downloading pricing information, policies, terms, and more. Last but not least, the news link in the navigation menu is where you can stay up to date on the latest news and products. Once you've completed everything you need to with Partner Connect, simply click Log Out. Thank you for taking the time to review Partner Connect, and thank you for supporting JE Pistons. Partner Connect is JE Pistons online portal designed to give
Operator error.
Go back one.
So what's new in 2025? These are a quick snapshot of some of our new products that we'll be releasing, that have been released and will be releasing through the course of the year. We have a brand new set of IMCA and Wasota Circle Track pistons. The IMCA piston is mainly focused on the new IMCA spec engine, modified for their modified class. So we've developed a 9-to-1 piston that has an 18cc dish, so that customers can run a 64cc chamber head and still get the 9-to-1 compression. We've got some new forging profiles for extreme boost applications. We're updating our Audi Daza pistons for extreme boost. So guys that want to make 1500 plus horsepower, we're developing a part for that. And we're also working on our surface finishes and our enhanced coatings, which we kind of talked about earlier. But the main thing that we're focused on moving forward is creating market-specific products that are on the shelf and ready to be ordered. So, how does that help a customer? Well, if you build circle track engines, for instance, and you get your engine in and you just want to hone it 5 thousandths over. Well, traditionally in the past, you'd have to order a custom piston that was a 4-inch 55 thousandths bore or a 4-inch 35 thousandths bore. So what we're doing with all those specific parts is we're making a bore from 4-inch 20 thousandths to 4-inch 65 thousandths in 5 thousandths increments and having them on the shelf. So you don't have to wait for a custom piston lead time. We're developing parts that are specific for nitrous applications, for drag race engines, like the Audi Daza parts for really, really high boost. So all of these things help the engine builder have a really high quality product that's on the shelf with a lower lead time than a traditional custom piston would take.
Thank you,
That's what's
Bryce.
new.
On to questions.
Going back to the aligned forgings, the material. So is that's a combination probably of the alloy, the temperature at which you do the forging, and the tooling, correct?
Correct. So all it's done with a 2618 forging. The main difference is how the piston is actually forged itself. A traditional piston forging is punched one time. So this piston is hit multiple times with different dies in sequence to shape the part and align the grave flow at each time the piston is punched in the forge. There we go. Oh, too fast.
Sorry about that, Bryce.
All good. So yeah, so it's a pretty tedious process over a traditional forging. So that's why it's very application specific and size specific on what we can produce in this forging right now.
Yeah, the cross-sectional analysis there of it, that's a very, very telling, where it meets the model of the distribution and the grain flow.
Any other questions on that?
No, I think I'm good on that. So with the IMCA, the circle track stuff, that's is that a much growing segment for you? I mean, to build a couple of unique applications like that, it must be pretty good.
Yeah, the circle track market has always been one of JE's strongest suit. I mean, if you watch Days of Thunder, every car that goes by has a JE piston sticker on it. So JE has a rich history in circle track applications. So, we really work hard with dirt late model teams, sprint car teams, the IMCA teams, the sportsman racers. But the IMCA class is a growing market for us because that 2-barrel type engine not only works in the IMCA, it works in WSOTA racing, works in USRA racing. They all have the same stock car type engine or B-mod type engine. And it's one of our highest selling piston, products that we offer. So that's why we tried to offer such a wide range in that particular market. Plus, the feedback that we've received from engine builders is, GM blocks are harder and harder to get. And so the last thing they want to do is have a customer come in with a 30 over engine and go right to 40 or right to 60 thousandths because there's no pistons available and they just used up a block that's hard to find. So that's where we're really trying to, partner with our engine builders. We're a team in this. We want to make our engine builders successful. We want to help them with the best quality product we can that's the right price where they can make some money and keep their lights on. Because, as our industry grows, the engine builders are what's driving all these specific market products, and they're the ones that keep our lights on. There's the ones that we're building these products for. So they're just as big a partner in this as, anybody else, because we want to make those products that they want to use, that they can rely on engine build after engine build. Because the last thing an engine builder needs is to have an engine go out and have a really, a piston failure that wasn't warranted, and then they have to eat all that money to rebuild the engine. So that's something that we're really focused on, is creating those market specific products. And we do it in the motorcycle world. We do it with Harley Davidson in our V Twin line. That's a really big product for us, as we just keep growing and growing and growing in the Milwaukee 8 Pistons. We have Ultra Series pistons for, turbocharged Harley Davidsons, guys that want to make 300 horsepower baggers. It's a unique market that nobody thinks about, but it's something that we're focused on because engine builders have brought that need to us. So if you're an engine builder out there and you have a class or a racing series that you think, man, it'd really be nice to have a shelf part for this application, give us a call. Let's work something out and figure out a way to help you guys be more successful. That's the name of the game.
Well,
that's a great philosophy. Great philosophy.
Well, and thank you so much, gentlemen. We'd love to carry on for another hour, but it's pretty much time to end. And so thank you very much for joining us today. Wonderful job. Thank you, Chuck, for hosting. This webinar has been recorded. It will be distributed later on the EPARTRADE platform through our newsletter and social media channels. Don't forget to check JE Pistons on the homepage of EPARTRADE. Next webinar will be with stainless diesel. For more information on the date, please visit epartrade.com. Thank you once again, and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Hey, we want to thank you for watching. Now, be sure to like, subscribe, and click on the bell so you're always up to date with the latest racing technology, industry insights, and exclusive content from EPARTRADE.
EPARTRADE is a digital platform that we've created basically to make life easier in the business community of auto racing.
EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier.
When you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information, and then from there it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
EPARTRADE really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Land speed record holder George Poteet's Speed Demon rocketed 481 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. You don't go that fast without ARP fasteners.
There is no way that we could go the speed that we've gone, the number of times we've gone, with a lesser quality bolt than ARP supplies to us. And we absolutely wouldn't be where we were today if it weren't for ARP.
When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series. Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
Where will you find Farea racing components, circle track, drag racing, and any top race shop? In every form of motorsports competition, our valves and valve train components deliver race-proven design and technology. And we've brought that same performance to our street applications as well. We're backed by 5 decades of experience, an extensive range of off-the-shelf components, and our custom valve department has the fastest turnaround times in the industry. Farea Racing Components. Stand with us or race against us.
When it comes to pushing the limits of performance, the pros know there's no room for compromise. At Crowder Cams, we don't just engineer camshafts and valve train components, we redefine what power means. Since 1955, Crowder Cams has been the name trusted by racers, engine builders, and gearheads around the globe. Whether you're building a street machine, a dragster, or a track car, Crowder Cams provides the muscle you need to dominate. And with Crowder, victory is within your reach.
At SeaTech, we're on a mission to lead the storage industry through innovative custom-built solutions that meet every challenge head-on. Designed for versatility, whether in a commercial setting or at home, we create high-quality, durable products that stand the test of time. SeaTech, engineering and innovation.